I mean, what a day of college hoops. Um, I know some of us, including me and the people in our community, weren't too enthused about it just being all one seeds, but some really, really good basketball teams played in San Antonio tonight. Jealous of the people that were able to be there to support their team or to just cover the sport. But I know it's late, but just felt as if I'd give a little bit of kind of a recap of the night. Let's start with probably the game that people want to hear from the most. Both games were phenomenal, but boy, this Houston Duke game was wild. You know, as a person who picked Houston to win the bracket, all three of us did. It was crazy because, as you can see here, we'll scroll down and get our win probability. Duke kind of dominated this game, right? Um, Duke was dominant, not dominant throughout, but up 6 here at the half. And then they just kind of continued to just stretch the lead all the way until, like, you know, Houston went on some runs, of course, cut it down to 4 here with under 4 or with 4 minutes to go. And then, like, Cooper Flagg hit that 3 with 2 minutes, 15 seconds left. Duke is up 9 points. They're up 9 points. They have a 96% chance to win, you know. But then, and even, trickling all the way down 6 with 42 seconds left. But then, obviously, some crazy happens, Sharp hits the 3 to cut it to 3, and then they get the steal on the inbounds pass. Malik Wilson shoots 3, doesn't go in. Tugler gets the offensive putback dunk, and then Tyrese Proctor bricks a free throw. The controversial over the back call, which we will get to, Juwan Roberts steps up. Not a great free throw shooter, but as explained in the press conference, he steps up and shoots 2 huge free throws in front of 68,000 people in the Alamo Dome. I just can't fathom it, man. And then Cooper Flagg gets what I thought was an okay look. Obviously not like the cleanest look in the world, but like Cooper said, that's one you live with. And he just left it short. And get the rebound. Cryer sinks both free throws. And that's the ball game. What a game. What a comeback. One of the most shocking, March Madness comebacks I've ever seen in history. Probably when it got to around, like, I don't know, this point when Duke was up 14 with 11:40 to go. It just looked like Duke was cruising. Flagg looked dominant. Knipple looked really good. And it just looked like they had figured out Houston. Looked like they had kind of matched their physicality and were just the better basketball team in terms of, like, talent, 4 first-round picks. Let's be real. 4 first-round pick guys. It's arguable if Proctor is a first-round pick, especially after tonight. But 4 first-round talents, and Sion James is no slouch either. And you have Cooper Flagg. You have the National Player of the Year, one of the most dominant college basketball players ever. And let me just say something real quick. You can see the game flow here. Let me just say something real quick before we get to kind of the box score. Look at Duke first. I hate making broad generalizations and making huge predictions, but I feel as if it's relatively obvious that even though he missed the last shot, if you didn't come away from the game thinking that Cooper Flagg isn't going to be a Hall of Fame NBA player, I don't know what to tell you. Or maybe not Hall of Famer, but like an all-star in the league. I'd say Hall of Famer, but Cooper Flagg is incredible. A lot of people said I was too high on Cooper Flagg just by saying he was the best player in the nation. And hey, if I'm wrong about that, I mean, 27, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, he affected the game all over. Big threes, big dunks. That and one that he had after getting the offensive board was disgusting. Great blocks. I mean, he's the whole package. My brother called him the white LeBron. And although I was quick to push back on that, I started thinking for a sec. I'm like, wow. Just going to leave it there. But Knipple also played really well, I thought. The question was he going to be able to handle the physicality of Houston? Because, his name is Con Knipple, and he's a 6'7" white dude from Wisconsin. But he was able to, and then some. He hit nice threes. Probably should have shot more from the three. Played 38 minutes, played his butt off. That's a top 10 pick. He's a top 10 pick. My opinion, he's a top 5 pick. They had their moments, but Proctor, Sion James, and Malowach all kind of struggled. Some guys are going to struggle when you're facing a team that's as talented as Houston is, especially on the defensive end. But Proctor really kind of disappeared in this game. He's the guy who I would kind of point to. I know you don't want to point fingers after a loss. There are so many things you can point fingers to. And honestly, both of these teams are worthy of winning a national championship. Both of those teams deserve to win the game tonight. But you'd probably point the finger at Proctor. He had a couple of turnovers there down the stretch, or only one turnover, but let the ball off his knee in the stretch. 0 for 4 from the 3 when he was red hot. You could also look to Duke's lack of bench production. No, they weren't looking to get a ton out of their bench, but 4 points. I guess Houston didn't do much better off the bench, but man, this game is so hard to diagnose because I think it's just kind of won in the margins. It's just something you do. You close it out when you're up 9 with 2 minutes to go. You close it out when you're up 6 with under a minute. You inbound the ball. You make free throws. You prevent second chance points. You defend the 3. But Houston is, they did it against Kansas. They did it again tonight. Just an improbable comeback. And as a person who thought that Houston was going to lose up until the final seconds of the game, when I was shocked, I'm like, okay, they're really going to win. Shooting 45% from 3 against Duke, can't ask for much more. And so I was kind of like, I'm kind of confused why Houston is losing, Obviously, the 37% from the field, they missed some bunnies. Jawan Roberts missed some bunnies, They were okay from the free throw line, 77, 78%. Turned the ball over, I guess 2 more than Duke, but they're really good on the glass. Both teams I thought were good on the glass, really. But Houston did the Houston thing. They mucked up the game a little bit. I know that's very corny to say, but I think that LJ Cryer deserves a lot of flowers for his performance tonight. We're going to remember the sharp shot. We're going to remember the Tugler offensive putback dunk. We're going to remember the Jawan Roberts free throws. But it was LJ Cryer who was the best Houston guy on the floor tonight. He was terrific. Hitting shots early, late. And I think the shots that he hit late were just as important as the shot. Please don't copyright me, ESPN. I don't want this to play. The shots that he hit late were just as important as the shots that he hit early in the game, to just keep them kind of within striking distance, kind of what Kelvin Sampson said. He thought they played bad in the first half. Of course, Houston's bad is like everybody else is good, but they were only down 6. And I felt good as a person cheering for Houston going into the half because, Cooper Flagg was going off. Knipple was going off. Milos Uzan, who did not have a good game tonight, was not good. And they were only down 6 points. Duke started to pull away. And then I was like, crap, Duke is a juggernaut, and they're going to win it all. but then Houston just kept fighting, came through in the clutch. I thought Emmanuel Sharp, despite his kind of rough shooting statistics, was really big, knocking down free throws, hitting clutch threes, finished with 16 on the night. Juwan Roberts obviously was a man amongst boys. He's a 6-year guy, and I couldn't imagine if you put me on the free throw line with 68,000 people screaming, down one. It's like being at bat with the bases loaded, 2 outs in the World Series. Like, I would have folded so hard. He didn't. So kudos there to Houston. The moment wasn't too big for either of these teams. And real quick, we'll check out kind of play-by-play stats. So you can see a little better where the game kind of turned. Shout out to ESPN, by the way, for the box score here and the stats. But I think, when did Flagg have his 3? It was down here, I think. Obviously, there are some big games, big plays throughout the game. Cut down to 4 here. Yeah, right here when Brown had the dish to Flagg, he nicely relocated, 3 minutes to go. He bangs the 3-pointer. I'm like, this game is done. He just had a dagger. Like, that should have been the dagger. But Houston just... Kelvin Sampson is incredible, man. Like, spent so long coaching, like 30-plus years coaching. He's in his 60s. He's a grandfather. He's been doing it his way the whole entire way. Houston definitely doesn't have as much NIL money, as much as we want to talk NIL. They don't have as much NIL money as Duke, and I assume Florida and Auburn. None of these guys are like, maybe, no, I don't think any of these guys are like 5-star blue chip prospects. Obviously, they don't have any guys that are bona fide lottery or first round picks. But Houston, man, Houston, the Cougars just, did a thing. And Malik Wilson is a guy who just, even though you missed that 3 down the stretch, man, he is so underrated defensively. He's always so good in the final minute. And this is just shocking. Just a shock. I want to just say something real quick, like kind of psychologically before move on. As you can see, the stats are kind of even. I know Houston was good on the boards. And that technical foul, too, by Tugler, I thought that was also going to be the game. But I know it's easy to hate Duke. I personally myself really dislike Duke. But it's really important to show people grace in this time. I don't want to lecture, but, it's very sad. I know if I were a Duke fan and I were an actual Duke fan, not a bandwagon, which I know many of people out there are, it's a tough way to go out, right? Never easy to blow a lead. I'm a Bengals fan. I know a thing or two about blowing leads and losing big games. But it's fun to see Duke lose, I will say. But hey, to the Duke fans, sorry. Houston, it just feels right, man. San Antonio going to the championship game.